Well, amid these tangles with the Justice Department and his own Attorney General, we're getting a better understanding of the president's views on justice. In remarks right before tonight's rally, the president tried to strike a tone of empathy and redemption on a week where he pardoned or commuted the sentence of 11 people, from Rod Blagojevich to Crystal Munoz, who was imprisoned for 12 years on a marijuana charge. Watch.
We are here to reaffirm that America is a nation that believes in redemption. And that's what it's about, redemption. We believe in second chances. We have thousands of people in prison that have stories like Alice Johnson, thousands and thousands of people. And I love doing it. I love doing it. And you know, you can be poor, you can be middle income, you can be rich. It's injustice is injustice.
Let's dig a little bit deeper with Robert George, the McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence at Princeton University. Professor, what does this week tell you about how President Trump may be reshaping the Justice Department?
Well, I'm not sure that he's reshaping the Justice Department. He's got himself into a bit of a tiff with his Attorney General. His Attorney General, of course, is a person of incredible stature in the legal community. He has served as Attorney General before. As a general matter, I think it's a bad idea for a president to get himself into a tiff with the Justice Department. But, of course, what happened, as your reporter pointed out, is that Judge Jackson gave a reasonable, judicially independent sentence to Stone, 40 months, considerably less than what those who are being called rogue Justice Department officials requested, but still a serious sentence. I mean, 40 months in jail is no fun for anybody.
Definitely not.
Now, the question is, will President Trump pardon him? And the president seems to be signaling that that's exactly what he is going to do.
Well, and the words he used today were a very good chance of exoneration for Roger Stone. And making these kinds of comments are exactly what the Attorney General said he did not want President Trump to continue to do. So if I'm Bill Barr tonight, how am I feeling?
Well, I think you're still concerned that the president is going to do things that undercut your performance. In fact, the Attorney General Barr used very strong terms. At one point, he said the president is making it impossible for me to do my job. That's a pretty strong thing to say, and I think he would prefer that the president step back a bit. Now, the president has the pardon power. It's right there in the Constitution. He is the chief executive of the United States. He can do that. There are times when it's appropriate to do that. I'm sure General Barr doesn't have any objection to him using that power appropriately, but he probably should step back a bit now from the Stone case and the other cases and let the Justice Department, let the Attorney General do their work.
What do you think the possibility is that President Trump does ultimately pardon him? I mean, I know the president has said he's still considering it, but at the end of the day, do you think President Trump will pardon Roger Stone? I
do. I think the odds are 99%. And of course, the question about the possible misconduct by the foreman of the jury, the woman that Trump himself referenced in his remarks, that misconduct would give a ground for the president to justify a pardon.
You take a step back and you look at all of these pardons that President Trump has done over the course of this week. He's also passed some bipartisan criminal justice reform, the First Step Act. Do you think that President Trump is, in a way, heading into Election Day, trying to seize the mantle of empathy and compassion from Democrats?
No question that he's doing that. And I think that he's hoping to break into some sectors of the voting public where Republicans have historically not done well and where he himself has been not all that popular, especially minority voters. And with some of the pardons that he has issued and some that he may yet issue, he may actually build some support for himself in minority communities. Certainly criminal justice reform earned him some points in the African-American community, where felt injustices have been a big issue for a long time. And here Trump went in and did something that Obama didn't do, that Clinton didn't do. So Trump, I think, is playing this in a politically savvy way, which is not to say that he doesn't actually believe in what he's doing, but it certainly helps him politically.
Well, and you know, it's so interesting because last night, right before the debate started, the former Obama press secretary Robert Gibbs, he said, he actually used the word empathy. He said, are we going to see a candidate that shows empathy on the stage tonight? And, you know, we now know this was one of the bloodiest debates that we have seen so far this cycle. So did last night really play into the president's hand?
It certainly did not help the Democrats. I think it's fair to say that the winner of the Democratic debate last night was Donald Trump. The Democrats seem to be moving themselves into a position where the two people who have a significant chance of winning the Democratic nomination are an avowed socialist and someone who seems to be playing to the stereotype of being a plutocrat. That's not a good place for a party to have a nominee. You don't want a socialist and you don't want a plutocrat, but they seem to be in the lead. What seems to be uniting the Democrats, and the only thing uniting the Democrats right now, is rather extreme social liberalism, which creates its own problems with late-term abortions and so forth and so on. So the Democrats are in some trouble. And interestingly, we might for the first time in a long time see a convention that actually chooses a nominee, a convention that's a convention and not a coronation. I thought that they were gone.
If some reports are to be believed, it appears former Mayor Mike Bloomberg might be really trying to push for that kind of brokered convention tonight.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Professor, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kristen.